She is my wife. The lie begins. Ethan Carter was a single father struggling to survive in a city that never slowed down for anyone. Every morning felt like a battle, and every night felt like a defeat. He lived in a small rented apartment with his daughter Lily Carter, a sweet, innocent child who still believed that life could be kind. Ethan had lost everything years ago. His job, his stability, and the person he once trusted the most. Now all he had was one goal: to keep Lily safe and happy, but the world outside did not care about his struggle. Bills were piling up, landlord was threatening eviction, and job interviews always ended in rejection. That morning, Ethan received an email that changed everything. Carter Tech Corporation, a top-level company in the city, calling him for an interview position. It was his last chance. Ethan quickly dressed in his only formal suit, took Lily with him because he had no one to leave her with, and headed toward the tallest glass building in the city. The headquarters of Carter Tech looked unreal, shining like a kingdom of power and money. Security stopped him at the entrance. The guard looked at Lily and shook his head. No children allowed inside. Sir Ethan tried to explain, but no one listened. Lily held his hand tightly and looked scared. "Dad, are we not going inside?" Before Ethan could respond, the entire atmosphere changed. A black luxury elevator opened, and she stepped out. Victoria Hayes, the CEO of Carter Tech. She was known across the business world. Cold, intelligent, powerful, and unreachable. Her presence alone made everyone silent. She wore a sharp white suit. Her eyes were sharp like ice, and her expression had no emotion at all. Ethan felt like even breathing was dangerous in front of her. But then, something unexpected happened. Lily suddenly ran forward. "Dad, look, she is beautiful." Before Ethan could stop her, Lily hugged Victoria Hayes' leg tightly and said softly, "Mommy." The entire lobby froze. Security guards froze. Employees froze. Even Victoria Hayes froze for a moment. Ethan's heart dropped. This was a disaster. He rushed forward and pulled Lily back. "I am sorry, she is just a child. She made a mistake." But Victoria did not react like a normal person. She stared at Ethan, then at Lily, then back at Ethan. Again. Her expression changed slightly. Something unreadable flickered in her eyes, and then she spoke. "Bring him to my office." Ethan was shocked. "Wait, what?" But no one questioned the CEO. Ethan was escorted to the top floor, his heart beating faster with every step. The CEO office was massive glass walls, showing the entire city skyline, luxury that felt like another world. Victoria Hayes sat behind her desk, watching him like a judge. She finally spoke. "That child called me mother." Ethan swallowed hard. "She is just a kid." She did not mean it. Victoria leaned forward. "Do not lie to me." "Mr. Carter." Ethan froze at his name being called so directly. There was something strange in her tone, not anger but curiosity. She stood up and walked slowly toward him. "You know what people are saying downstairs?" Ethan stayed silent. "They are saying you planned this to get attention." Ethan quickly shook his head. "No, I swear I did not even know her." Victoria studied his face carefully. Then she said something that shattered his reality. "You will act as my husband." Ethan blinked in disbelief. "I am sorry, what?" Victoria Hayes turned away and looked at the city outside the window. "I have enemies, political rivals, business sharks, people who want to destroy my image. If they think I have a family, I am untouchable." Ethan stepped back. "This is insane." Victoria turned back slowly. "Or you can leave and security will remove you and you will never get a job in this city again." Silence filled the room. Ethan looked down at Lily standing outside the office window. Was everything to him? He had no option. Finally, he said quietly, "What do you want me to do?" Victoria Hayes replied, "From today, you are my husband in public events. You will follow instructions and you will never expose the truth." Ethan felt like he was entering a trap, but he nodded. For Lily. Yes, Victoria looked at him for a long moment. Then she said something softer. Good choice, Mr. Carter. But remember one thing. If you lie to me, I will destroy you. Ethan did not know that this fake agreement was the beginning of a dangerous emotional storm, and somewhere deep inside Victoria Hayes, something she had buried long ago was starting to wake up, a feeling she refused to name. She is my wife. The contract of fake love. The next morning, Ethan Carter woke up in a world that no longer felt real. Everything from yesterday kept repeating in his mind: the cold eyes of Victoria Hayes, the word husband, and the silence that followed. He sat on the edge of the bed in a guest room of the Carter Tech mansion, a place so luxurious it felt like a dream he did not belong in, and yet it was not a dream. A knock came on the door. A formal assistant entered holding a black folder. "Good morning. Mr. Carter. Miss Hayes is waiting for you downstairs." Ethan stood up slowly. "Waiting for me." The assistant nodded. For contract signing. Ethan felt his stomach tighten. Contract. He followed the assistant through long marble corridors, every step reminding him that he was now trapped inside something far bigger than himself. Downstairs in a private office, Victoria Hayes was already waiting. She looked exactly the same as yesterday. Cold, controlled, and unreadable, a single file was placed in front of Ethan's sit. Down her voice was calm but commanding. Ethan sat. Victoria opened the file. "This is your agreement." Ethan frowned. "Agreement for what exactly?" She looked at him directly. "For your role." Ethan opened the file slowly. Every page described rules that sounded more like prison conditions than marriage. Rule 1, you will act as my husband in public only. Rule 2, no emotional attachment is allowed. Rule 3, no personal questions about my private life. Rule 4, you will never reveal the truth of this arrangement. Rule 5, you will follow all instructions without argument during events. Ethan looked up. This is insane. Victoria did not react. It is necessary. Ethan clenched his fists. "You are using me." Victoria leaned back slightly. "I am giving you protection and money for your daughter in return." That sentence hit him hard. Lily Victoria continued, "Sign it and your financial problems end immediately." Ethan hesitated. "But if I refuse," Victoria replied calmly, "then you go back to your life and your daughter goes back to suffering." Silence filled the room. Ethan looked at the contract again. Every word felt heavy, but he thought about Lily. Her smile, her hunger, her future. Slowly, he picked up the pen and signed. Victoria watched without emotion. "Good." She closed the file. "From this moment you are officially my husband in public record." Ethan felt like he had just signed away his identity. Later that day, Ethan was taken to a luxury mansion owned by Victoria Hayes. It was not a home. It was a fortress of glass and silence. Lily was brought there, as well. When she saw Victoria again, she ran and hugged her instantly. "Mommy, you are here." Victoria froze for a second, but then something strange happened. She gently placed her hand on Lily's head. Ethan noticed it immediately. This was not like her. Victoria quickly removed her hand and returned to her cold expression. Dinner that night was silent. Ethan sat at a long table that felt too big for 3 people. Lily kept talking happily. "Mommy, will you stay with us forever?" Victoria paused for a moment, then said, "I'm busy." But Lily smiled anyway. Ethan observed everything carefully. There was something unnatural happening. Victoria Hayes, the ice-cold CEO, was not reacting normally to his daughter. That night, Lily fell asleep early on the couch. Victoria stood near. The window looking outside, Ethan walked slowly toward her. "Why are you doing this?" Victoria did not turn. "I already told you." "No, you did not tell me the truth." That made her turn slightly. "Truth does not matter in business." Ethan stepped closer. "This is not business. This is my life." For a second, something flickered in Victoria's eyes, but she hid it immediately. "Your life is safe because of this arrangement." Ethan shook his head. At what cost? Silence stretched between them. Then suddenly Victoria spoke in a lower tone, You know why I chose you, Ethan looked confused. Because you were the only one desperate enough not to refuse. That answer hurt, but there was something deeper behind it, something she did not say. The next morning, news began spreading inside the company, the CEO, Victoria Hayes, has a husband. Employees were shocked. Rumors started immediately. Who is he? Where did he come from? Why has no one seen him before? Ethan felt eyes on him everywhere. At noon, Victoria called him to the conference room. Today you attend. Your first public appearance as my husband. Ethan shook his head. I am not ready. Victoria walked closer. You are not doing this for yourself. You are doing it for Lily. That name again controlled him. He nodded slowly at the event reporters gathered like a storm. Flash cameras exploded everywhere. Victoria Hayes entered. First, then Ethan followed behind her. The crowd went silent. Whispers started immediately. Is that really her husband? Ethan felt his heart pounding. He had never been in this world before. Luxury. Power lies. Victoria suddenly held his hand. The contact shocked him. Her grip was firm but warm. Reporters started shouting questions. When did you get married? How long have you known each other? Before Ethan could respond, Victoria spoke smoothly. We prefer privacy. She smiled. A rare smile. Ethan looked at her in disbelief. She was playing this role perfectly. But what shocked him more was her hand still holding his, tight, not letting go. On the way back to the car, Ethan finally asked, Why are you holding my hand like this? Victoria did not answer immediately. Then she said quietly, Because they are watching. But her hand did not leave. That night, Ethan stood alone on the balcony, looking at the city lights. He realized something terrifying. This was no longer just a fake contract. It was becoming something deeper, something neither of them understood. And somewhere inside Victoria Hayes, a wall she built for years had started to crack, very slowly, very dangerously. She is my wife. The heart breaks the rules. The city lights shimmered outside the glass mansion like a silent ocean of stars. Ethan Carter stood on the balcony long after midnight, the cold air brushing against his face, but his mind was burning, with thoughts he could not control. Everything had changed too fast. Yesterday he was a struggling single father. Today he was standing as the fake husband of the most powerful woman in the city. Victoria Hayes, a woman who ruled with ice in her veins and silence in her heart. But something about her was no longer matching that image. Ethan replayed every moment. The way she held his hand in front of reporters, the way she did not deny Lily's presence, the way her eyes softened for a fraction of a second. It confused him more than anything. Inside the mansion, the silence was deep. Lily was asleep in her room, safe and peaceful, as if the world outside did not exist for her. Ethan slowly walked through the hallway and stopped near Victoria's office door. It was slightly open. He should not have looked, but he did. Victoria Hayes was inside, not the CEO. Everyone feared, but a woman sitting alone in darkness, her head slightly down, her hands covering her face. Ethan froze. He had never seen her like this. The strongest woman in the business world sitting like she was carrying something unbearable. Soft sound escaped the room. She was crying. Ethan's breath stopped. For a moment he could not move. This was not the Victoria Hayes he knew. Slowly he stepped back, but the floor creaked. Victoria immediately wiped her face and straightened. Who is there? Her voice was sharp again, controlled. Cold Ethan opened the door slowly. It's me. Silence. Victoria turned slightly away. You should not be here. Ethan walked in. Anyway, I saw you. That sentence froze. The room. Victoria did not respond. Ethan continued carefully. You are not okay. Victoria laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. Do not analyze me, Mr. Carter. Ethan took a step forward. am not analyzing you, I am just asking, why were you crying? A long silence followed. The air felt heavy. Then Victoria spoke. Because people like you think I am made of steel. Ethan frowned. People like me. She finally turned toward him. Normal people. People who believe emotions make you weak. Ethan shook his head. That is not true. Victoria stepped closer. Then what is true? Ethan hesitated. I think you are tired. That word hit something inside her. For a moment, her expression cracked. But she quickly covered it. You do not know anything about me, Ethan replied. Softly, then tell me. Silence again. Victoria looked away. You are here because of a contract. Remember that. Ethan nodded. Yes, I remember, but that contract does not explain everything. Victoria's eyes narrowed, like what Ethan looked directly at her. Like why? My daughter keeps calling you Mom. The room went still. Victoria froze. That question was dangerous. She turned her back. Do not involve her in this. Ethan stepped closer. She already is involved. Victoria's voice lowered. This arrangement is not emotional. Ethan replied. Then why does it feel emotional? That question hung in the air like thunder. Victoria did not answer. Instead, she walked toward the window. You should focus on your role. Ethan stood behind her. And what is my role exactly? She replied without turning. Be what I need you to be. Ethan frowned. And what do you need? Silence. Victoria's hands tightened slightly. That question was never meant to be answered. But Ethan did not stop. Because I think you do not even know. That statement made her turn sharply. Be careful. Mr. Carter. Ethan did not back away. For the first time, he looked at her not as a CEO, but as a human being. You are alone. Victoria's expression changed instantly. Do not say that, Ethan continued. You are surrounded by people, but still alone. Victoria's voice rose slightly. I said, stop. But Ethan did not. Because I saw you today, you did not act like a CEO. You acted like someone who is exhausted. Silence exploded between them. Victoria stepped closer. You think you understand me after 2 days? Ethan replied. No, I think I am starting to. That moment, something shifted. A dangerous emotional tension filled the space. Neither of them spoke for several seconds. Then suddenly, Lily's voice echoed from the hallway. Mommy. Victoria froze again. Ethan looked at her. She is calling you. Victoria closed her eyes for a second, then turned away. Go to her. Ethan did not move. Why do you avoid her? That question was too direct. Victoria finally snapped. Because I am not her mother. Ethan replied softly. Then why does she feel safe with you? That question broke something. Victoria could not answer. She left the room abruptly. Ethan stood there alone. For the first time, he realized this contract was not just about lies. It was about pain, deep hidden pain. The next day brought new chaos. News spread. Inside, Carter Tech Victoria, Hayes spotted showing emotional behavior. With husband board members started questioning her leadership. A meeting was called. Immediately, Ethan was forced to attend. The boardroom was cold and intimidating. Men in expensive suits stared at him like he did not belong. One member spoke, "We want clarity about this man." Another added, "Is he really your husband or a distraction?" Victoria sat at the head of the table, calm as always. But Ethan noticed her fingers slightly tighten. "They are married," she said firmly. A board member laughed. Convenient story. Tension rose instantly. Ethan felt pressure building, but Victoria suddenly spoke louder. Enough. Silence hit the room. For the first time, even powerful men stopped talking. She continued, "My personal life is not a topic for debate." Ethan looked at her in shock. She was defending him again after the meeting. Ethan followed her outside. "Why did you do that?" Victoria did not stop walking. "Because I control my company." Ethan shook his head. That was not control. That was protection. Victoria stopped. Do not misinterpret things. Ethan stepped closer. Then explain it properly. Victoria turned slightly. You are useful for now. Ethan frowned. That answer should have hurt. But it did not feel like the truth. That night, Lily got sick. Suddenly high fever, Ethan panicked Victoria, immediately came into the room. Without hesitation, she took care of Lily, holding her, checking her temperature, staying by her side. Ethan watched silently. Something inside him shifted again. This woman was not cold. She was broken in ways he did not understand. Later that night, Victoria stood alone in the hallway. Ethan approached slowly. Thank you. She did not respond. Ethan continued. You stayed with her all night. Victoria finally said, do not read. Meaning into it, Ethan smiled slightly. You always say that, Victoria turned, because meaning creates weakness. Ethan replied, or maybe it creates truth. That line stayed in the air. Victoria did not answer, but her eyes did not look away this time. And for the first time, Ethan realized the fake marriage was no longer fake. It was turning into something neither of them were ready to accept, and that truth was more dangerous than any contract. She is my wife. The truth starts breaking. The morning sun rose over Carter Tech City building, but inside Victoria Hayes' world, there was no peace. Everything felt heavier than before. Ethan Carter was starting to become a problem she never expected. Because he was dangerous, but because he was becoming important, too important. Victoria stood in her office staring at the city skyline. Her reflection in the glass looked tired. She hated that feeling. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Come in, her assistant. Entered carefully holding a file. Miss Hayes. Daniel Cross has arrived. Victoria's eyes narrowed slightly. Daniel Cross, a powerful investor known for his charm and manipulation and someone Victoria never trusted. Send him in. Moments later, Daniel Cross walked into the office. He wore a perfect suit and a confident smile. But his eyes carried something sharp. Victoria Hayes still ruling from the throne. I see Victoria did not smile. Cut the greetings, Daniel. Why are you here? Daniel sat down without permission. Business, of course. But then his eyes shifted slightly, or should I say, family business. That word hit differently. Victoria's expression changed. Explain. Daniel leaned forward. Your husband. Silence. Victoria's fingers tightened. Ethan Carter. Daniel continued slowly. Interesting. Man, Victoria stood up. If you are here to waste my time, leave. Daniel smiled. I am here to save your company. That made her pause. From what exactly? Daniel placed a folder on the table. From a lie. Victoria opened the folder. Inside were pictures. Ethan Carter. In. Old clothes, struggling life, jobless records, financial crisis, history. Victoria stared silently. Daniel spoke softly. This man was nothing before you, and now suddenly he is your husband. Strange, right? Victoria closed the folder. Your point. Daniel leaned back. My point is simple. He is using you. Victoria's eyes turned cold. You are wrong. Daniel smiled. Am I? He stood up. Then prove it. Before leaving, he added, because I know something you don't. He is not who he says he is, and I will prove it. The door closed. Silence. Returned, but now it felt different. Heavier. Dangerous. Meanwhile, Ethan Carter was in the mansion kitchen with Lily. She was laughing again, playing with food, completely unaware of the storm coming. Ethan forced a smile, but his mind was elsewhere. Victoria had been distant since morning. Something had changed. He could feel it. Suddenly, the mansion door opened. Victoria entered. Her expression was unreadable. Ethan noticed immediately. Everything okay? She ignored him and walked upstairs. That silence hurt more. Then words night came. Victoria called Ethan to her office. He entered slowly. What happened? She did not look at him at first. Then she turned. Tell me one thing. Ethan frowned. What? Her voice was calm but sharp. Who are you really? Silence dropped like a stone. Ethan blinked. What do you mean? Victoria walked closer. Daniel Cross came today. Ethan's expression changed. I don't like him. Victoria placed the folder on the table. Do you know what? He showed me. Ethan saw the files and understood instantly. So this is about my past. Victoria interrupted. Is it true? Ethan stayed quiet for a moment, then nodded yes. That single word changed the atmosphere. Victoria's eyes hardened. So you were nothing before this? Ethan replied softly. Yes. Silence. Victoria stepped back. Then why did you lie? Ethan looked at her. Because I had to. Victoria raised her voice slightly. That is not an answer. Ethan replied, it is the truth. I lied about being your husband. But I never lied about Lily. Victoria froze for a second. That name again. Lily. Ethan continued. Did everything for her survival. Victoria turned away. So this was all a survival game for you? Ethan shook his head. No. Then what? He hesitated. Love. That word hit the room like lightning. Victoria turned back sharply. Love. Ethan nodded. Yes. Silence stretched. Victoria laughed softly. But it was empty. Love does not exist in my world. Ethan replied. Maybe that is why you are alone. That sentence cut deep. Victoria's expression changed instantly. You do not know anything about me. Ethan stepped forward. Then let me know. Victoria shouted. Stop. Trying to fix me. Ethan stopped. I am not fixing you. I am trying to understand you. That silence that followed was heavy. For the first time, Victoria looked unsure, but she quickly controlled herself. You will leave this mansion. Ethan blinked. What? Victoria continued. This arrangement is over. Ethan felt something drop inside him because of one folder. Victoria replied, because I cannot trust you. Ethan looked at her for a long moment, then slowly nodded. Fine, but Lily stays with me. Victoria hesitated. That hesitation meant everything. Ethan noticed it. You care about her? Victoria snapped. No, I don't. But her eyes betrayed. Her. Ethan stepped closer. Then why are you shaking? Silence. Victoria turned away. Leave that night. Ethan packed again. Lily cried, Daddy, are we leaving Mommy? Again. That word hurt both of them. Ethan hugged her tightly. We will be okay. But his eyes were wet downstairs. Victoria stood in darkness, listening. She did not move. She did not speak, but her hands were trembling. For the first time in her life, she did not know what she was losing or what she already had. Next morning, Ethan was ready to leave, luggage in hand, Lily holding his shirt tightly. At the door, Victoria appeared. Both froze. Silence. Then Victoria spoke softly. Stay. Ethan looked at her. Why? She struggled for a second, then said, Because I said so. Ethan shook his head. That is not enough. Victoria stepped forward. Then I will make it. Enough. Ethan frowned. How? Victoria looked at Lily. Because she wants you here. Silence. Ethan looked at his daughter. She was smiling through tears, and that broke him. Victoria added quietly, and maybe I don't want you to leave either. That last line changed everything. Ethan looked at her. For the first time, she was not a CEO, not a contract owner, just a woman afraid of losing something. But before anything could be said, Daniel Cross called Victoria. His plan had begun, and the real storm was about to start. She is my wife. She wants to marry him for real. The night was unusually silent over the city, but inside Victoria Hayes' world, everything was collapsing. Ethan Carter was still in the mansion, but nothing felt safe anymore. Daniel Cross had already started his move, and this time it was not a rumor. It was war early. Morning Carter Tech headquarters was in chaos. News channels were flashing breaking headlines. Carter Tech stock falling rapidly. Internal betrayal. Suspected CEO under investigation. Victoria Hayes stood in the center of the storm, but her face was still. Controlled, cold, silent, dangerous. Ethan watched her from a distance. You can feel it now, he said. Softly, Victoria did not look at him. Feel what Ethan replied. The company is slipping. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Victoria spoke. This is not my first crisis. Ethan nodded. But it might be your first personal attack that hit differently. Suddenly, the doors opened. Security rushed in. Miss Hayes, Daniel Cross has taken control of board members. Meeting Victoria's eyes sharpened. Where top? Floor conference hall. Without another word, she walked out. Ethan followed conference hall. Daniel Cross stood confidently in front of board members. He looked like he already won. Victoria Hayes arrived. Silence dropped instantly. Daniel smiled. You are late, Victoria replied coldly. You are alive because I allow. Attention exploded. Daniel clapped slowly still. The Queen, but not for long. He turned to the board. Gentlemen, today we remove emotional leadership from Carter Tech. He pointed at Ethan. This man is the weakness. Whispers spread Victoria's. Jaw tightened. Ethan stepped forward. Never asked for this position, Daniel laughed. But you accepted. Aunt Victoria interrupted sharply. Enough, Daniel. Looked at her or what? Then he revealed something unexpected. I have proof your husband was placed here deliberately. Silence hit. Hard. Victoria turned slowly. What? Proof. Daniel placed documents on table. Financial trails old. Contacts, hidden connections. Ethan saw it and froze. It looked bad, very bad, even if it was not. True. Victoria looked at Ethan. Tell me truth, Ethan. Hesitated for a second. Everything stopped. Then he said, I never planned this marriage, Victoria. Closed her eyes briefly. Daniel smiled. But you used her position. Ethan shook his head. No, but doubt had already entered the room. And doubt is poison in power games. Victoria suddenly spoke. Meeting is over, board members. Protested, but she raised her voice. I said. Over. Silence returned. She walked out. Ethan followed in the empty hallway. Ethan spoke first. You believe him, Victoria? Stopped. I believe facts. Ethan stepped closer. And what about me? Victoria turned. I don't know what you are anymore. That sentence hurt more than anything. Ethan replied then. Let me go. Victoria froze. Ethan continued. If I am the problem, I will leave. Silence. But Victoria did not answer. Instead, she walked away. Night fell. Lily was asleep. Ethan packed his bag again, this time slower. He had accepted it. Maybe he never belonged here. Victoria stood alone in her office looking at the city, but her mind was not on business. It was on Ethan, and that scared her because she did not understand why. Suddenly, Lily appeared at her door. Mommy Victoria turned. Lily walked in. Slowly. Are you fighting with Daddy again? Victoria paused. No. Lily came closer. Then why is he leaving? That question froze everything. Victoria did not answer. Lily held her hand. Don't let him go. That simple line broke. Something inside Victoria ate. The same time, Ethan reached the mansion door, luggage in hand. Rain started. Outside, like the world was crying with him, he opened the door and stopped. Victoria was standing there, soaked in rain, breathing heavily. For the first time, no CEO aura, no cold mask. Just a woman who ran. Ethan froze. Victoria spoke. Don't leave. Ethan said nothing. She stepped closer. Don't care about contracts anymore. Silence. Victoria's voice shook slightly. I don't want fake anymore. Ethan frowned. Then what do you want along? Pause. Then she said, you. Silence exploded. Ethan could not speak. Victoria continued. I don't know when it started. I don't know how, but I don't want you gone. Rain fell harder. Ethan whispered, this is not real. Victoria stepped closer. Then make it real. Ethan shook his head. You don't understand what you are saying. Victoria replied, no, I understand for the first time. Silence. Again, Lily ran to them, holding both their hands. Please don't fight. That moment broke the final wall. Victoria looked at Ethan softly. Marry me. Ethan froze. What? Victoria repeated. Not fake, not contract, real marriage. Silence. Ethan could not believe it. Victoria Hayes, CEO Ice Queen, asking this. He asked, why Victoria? Looked at Lily. Because she already thinks we are family. Then she looked back at Ethan and, because I don't want to lose what I finally found. Ethan stood still for the first time. The lie had turned into truth. But truth came with fear. Ethan whispered, this will change everything. Victoria replied, it already has. Ethan looked at her, then at Lily, and slowly nodded. Rain kept falling, but This time, it did not feel cold anymore.